Over the weekend, during a Nintendo Live event, Game Freak announced 2 expansion packs coming to Pokemon Sword and Shield, and that they will be doing something that they had initially said they wouldn't. Of the 400 odd Pokemon that were removed for Sword and Shield, they will be bringing back about half, just about 200 of those, in these expansions. And you will need the expansions, quite obviously, to be able to access these Pokemon. Now, as soon as I saw that, I knew that this is the beginning of the trend that is going to happen, at least for the first half of the 2020s in gaming. And I can hear what some of you are already saying, that this has already been a thing, that companies have chopped up their games and sold it back in bits and pieces before. And yes, while that's true with titles like The Sims, where that is the norm, or yearly sports titles, that's not really something that's happened with mainstream once a generation releases like with Pokemon. And that is a very scary thing that is happening right now. Because I can guarantee that this is going to be a huge success because it's a Pokemon game. Pokemon games are always a huge success, which will incentivize other companies to do this very thing. The prime example I always give for just because something exists doesn't mean it was mainstream until later. Uh, Loot boxes had been around since Team Fortress 2, so about 2010, 2011, thereabouts. They didn't get really big. They didn't become mainstream like they are until Blizzard's Overwatch simplified them, streamlined them, and mainstreamed them. In 2016, there was about a 5-ish, 6-ish, that general ballpark year gap between when loot boxes were first a thing and when they became the thing. And while chopping up games and reselling them later on has been a thing for a while, I genuinely believe that Pokemon doing it will solidify this as the trend going forward. This isn't quite the live service thing because it's they aren't expecting you to continue playing for countless hours. They are quite literally giving you half the fucking game in half the decks and then reselling it or reselling half of it back to you at a later time. And I can absolutely see companies loving that. We're going to see that with probably Elder Scrolls 6. We're going to see that with the next Fallout style game. We're going to see that from Microsoft. We're going to see this from Sony. We're going to see this from everybody where there were these actual full releases and then they are chopping them up and piecemealing them back to us. And that absolutely terrifies me. This is effectively companies making sure that they get their $100, $120, $150, $200 somehow. And it'll work. Unfortunately, it will work because they're going to now do it with a lot of games that are very popular, have large fan bases, and will rebuy this because it's just not the full game without this thing or that part or whatever. I really hope I'm wrong. I really hope that this is just a weird oddity with Game Freak and that this is not going to be indicative of the future. But something in the back of my mind is screaming at me that this is what's going to happen for the next several years. Between live services and this, that is what the game companies are going to be focusing on now that loot boxes have gone the way of the dodo, effectively. I could be dead wrong. I hope I'm dead wrong because this is, whoo, this is making me want just to buy indie games and nothing else. Jesus. If you think it's something else, if you think I'm just full of bullshit, if you think that even something close to this might happen, but in a different way. Let me know. I'm curious to see what you folks think would be happening in the future. While I hope I'm not right, I have this strange feeling I am, but I could hear something else and I could realize, oh yeah, that's probably more accurate, and I'm dead wrong. Who knows? This has been Math Machine, giving the middle finger to the Pokemon series, which has turned to absolute shit, and hoping that Nintendo doesn't do what I think they're going to do from now on, but we all know better. Peace out.